Did you know that some US half dollars, even in bad condition, can be worth millions of dollars? Today, we're uncovering the rarest and most valuable coins that collectors are hunting for, and you won't believe what these worn treasures can sell for. First up, the 1986 D. John F. Kennedy half dollar, produced at the Denver Mint, bearing the small D mint mark just below Kennedy's neck, is an iconic representation of post-1971 circulation Kennedy halves, composed of a copper nickel clad with a pure copper core, making it durable, utilitarian, and emblematic of mid-1980s American coinage practices. And while high-grade examples are often sought by collectors for aesthetic appeal, coins in bad condition, those exhibiting significant wear, flattened details, scratches, discoloration, toning, and abrasions, are themselves of immense historical and numismatic value, reflecting decades of active circulation, physical handling, environmental interaction, and the inevitable march of time on mass-produced coinage, as each worn surface tells a story of commerce, pockets, cash registers, wallets, coin rolls, and the countless hands through which it passed. The obverse, designed by Gilroy Roberts, features the familiar left-facing portrait of President John F. Kennedy, with youthful features, carefully sculpted hair, a strong jawline, and cheekbones. Although in badly worn examples, the hair details are smoothed away, the contours of the face flattened, and inscriptions including "Liberty" and "In God We Trust," partially rubbed, faint, or nearly invisible, making authentication more challenging and requiring numismatic experience to distinguish genuine circulation wear from damage or counterfeits, while the Denver Mint mark, D, often shows significant wear, further emphasizing the coin's journey through countless transactions and circulation environments. The reverse, created by Frank Gasparo, presents the presidential seal with an eagle clutching arrows in the left talon and an olive branch in the right, a shield across its chest, and a ring of 50 stars representing the United States, surrounded by inscriptions reading, "United States of America," and "half dollar." Yet in bad condition coins, the eagle's feathers blend into the background, the arrows and olive branch lack definition, the shield detail is smoothed, and the stars are faint or missing, while rim dents, nicks, scratches, and discoloration further illustrate the harsh realities of circulation over decades. Dimensions remain standard for the series at 30.6 mm in diameter with a thickness of approximately 2.15 mm and a weight of 11.34 grams, yet even these measurable qualities can be subtly affected by wear, planchette compression, or environmental factors, demonstrating how circulated coins evolve physically over time, and serving as a practical example for collectors and historians studying minting standards, strike consistency, and circulation effects on copper nickel-clad coins. Historically, the Kennedy half-dollar series commemorates President Kennedy, one of the most beloved and influential U.S. presidents, and by 1986, these coins had transitioned fully to clad composition, eliminating silver content entirely, and reflecting broader economic policies, coinage reforms, and practical circulation needs of the 1980s United States, where the mint produced large quantities to meet everyday transactional demands, resulting in abundant low-grade examples like the 1986 D, while simultaneously making higher-grade coins scarcer and more collectible, which in turn elevates the educational and numismatic significance of even badly worn specimens for study and type collection purposes. In terms of grading, bad condition examples often fall into good G4 to very good VG8 with flattened portrait details, faint lettering, smoothed eagle and shield design on the reverse, edge nicks, scratches, minor dings, surface abrasions, discoloration, and occasional environmental toning, all of which serve as physical testimony to the coin's extensive circulation, and provide collectors with insight into grading standards, the effects of circulation, and the relationship between condition and market value, as heavily worn coins typically trade near face value or slightly above, often ranging from 50 cents to a few dollars depending on collector interest, historical relevance, are minor errors present, yet they remain vital to understanding series history and circulation patterns. Moreover, bad condition coins provide opportunities for study of minting anomalies, planchet imperfections, die variations, strike inconsistencies, edge variations, reading irregularities, and other micro details that are otherwise often overlooked in pristine examples, allowing numismatists to appreciate production subtleties, the impact of mass strike techniques, and the durability of copper-nickel-clad coinage, while also offering a tangible connection to mid-1980s America, including economic conditions, Reagan-era policies, Cold War context, and cultural memory surrounding Kennedy's enduring legacy, as these coins were handled by ordinary Americans in banks, stores, homes, and pocket change, providing a physical link between historical events, national sentiment, and everyday life. Further, badly circulated 1986 half dollars illustrate how coins behave under decades of usage, with scratches from other coins, contact marks from surfaces, oxidation, dirt accumulation, exposure to varying humidity, temperature changes, and chemical interactions, all of which affect surface color, toning patterns, and metallic luster, and such observations are invaluable to collectors, historians, and educators studying the life cycle of coins, the mechanics of metal wear, and the practical outcomes of mint production standards in real-world circulation. In addition, each badly worn coin tells an individual story, as its scratches, discoloration, edge damage, and surface abrasions are unique, forming a narrative of commerce, handling, and environmental exposure, and these unique markers can be used to study circulation patterns, regional handling practices, and even the longevity of certain coin batches, while also teaching beginners about grading, authentication, and the subtle differences between wear, damage, and mint error. Despite low aesthetic appeal, such coins remain historically important, educationally valuable, and relevant for type collections, and even modestly priced examples allow collectors to complete series sets affordably, study mint characteristics, or observe how specific coins interact with circulation over decades, making the 1986 Kennedy half dollar in bad condition a coin of significant interest for practical numismatic research, historical study, and educational purposes, while also serving as a tactile reminder of President Kennedy's legacy, the evolution of U.S. coinage from silver to clad, the technological standards of mid-1980s minting, and the interaction between human activity and metallic currency, ultimately embodying both the story of an individual president and the broader narrative of American monetary, cultural, and historical development, and thus, every scratch, wear pattern, flattened detail, discoloration, and nicks become not merely imperfections, but chapters in the ongoing story of how coins circulate, survive, and reflect the society through which they pass, providing endless fascination and study opportunities for collectors, educators, historians, and enthusiasts alike, making the 1986 John F. Kennedy half dollar in bad condition far more than just a worn piece of currency. It is a living historical document, a case study in metallurgical endurance, a lesson in numismatic standards, a representation of 1980s America, and a tangible connection to the enduring memory of President Kennedy, his ideals, and the economic, cultural, and technical environment of the United States during that era. Next up, the 1971 John F. Kennedy half dollar without a mint mark, representing the Philadelphia mint production of that year, is a historically significant coin as it belongs to the early period of the Kennedy half dollar series transitioning into copper-nickel-clad coinage, marking the first year the series was entirely struck without silver content following the cessation of 40% silver in the 1965-1970 issues, and this coin, in bad condition, offers a remarkable case study for collectors, historians, and numismatists interested in the effects of circulation, wear, environmental exposure, and human interaction on mass-produced U.S. currency, as the obverse features the familiar left-facing portrait of President John F. Kennedy, designed by Gilroy Roberts, showing the youthful profile, carefully sculpted hair, prominent cheekbones, and strong jawline, yet in heavily circulated or worn examples, these details are flattened, with hairlines smoothed, facial features diminished, the lettering, Liberty, above the portrait partially rubbed, In God We Trust, on the sides often faint, and the date, 1971, still visible but sometimes eroded by decades of handling, while the absence of a mint mark indicates production in Philadelphia, the nation's historic primary mint, which struck large quantities for circulation, resulting in abundant examples in a corresponding wide range of conditions, from near pristine to heavily worn, providing an educational platform for the study of coinage durability, metallurgy, and circulation patterns. The reverse, designed by Frank Gasparo, depicts the presidential seal with a heraldic eagle clutching arrows in the left talon and an olive branch in the right, a shield overlaying the eagle's breast, a ring of 50 stars surrounding the eagle to represent the states, and inscriptions reading, United States of America, and $50. Yet in bad condition coins, the eagle's feathers are smoothed into the background, the arrows and olive branch lose definition, the shield appears flattened, the stars are faint, and edge reading shows wear, nicks, dents, and surface abrasions, all of which reflect the coin's extensive circulation history, including pocket wear, wallet friction, exposure to environmental factors such as moisture, heat, air pollution, dirt, and oils from human hands, illustrating how everyday commerce affects the physical characteristics of coinage, while also demonstrating the inherent durability of the copper-nickel-clad composition, which has allowed these coins to survive for over 5 decades despite heavy circulation, and providing tangible evidence of mid-20th century U.S. minting standards and production practices. In terms of grading, bad condition examples typically fall into good G4 to very good VG8 on the Sheldon scale, with severely flattened design elements, partially or fully illegible inscriptions, extensive scratches, discoloration, toning, surface abrasions, rim damage, and occasional environmental corrosion, making them ideal subjects for studying the physical effects of wear on coins, the limits of copper-nickel durability, and the factors influencing market value for heavily circulated examples, which, although often only slightly above face value, can still be of interest to collectors seeking type coins, educational pieces, or examples for comparison to higher-grade specimens. Moreover, even badly worn 1971 Kennedy $50 without a mint mark can reveal subtle minting characteristics, die variations, strike depth inconsistencies, planchet anomalies, edge irregularities, and minor errors, all of which are relevant for numismatists studying production quality, mint technology, and historical circulation trends, as well as for those attempting to reconstruct production batches, analyze wear patterns over time, and understand how coins move through commerce, banks, vending machines, and private hands, with each scratch, nick, discoloration, and flattening acting as a physical record of the coin's journey over decades, reflecting economic, social, and technological aspects of American life in the 1970s and beyond. The market value for these coins in bad condition is generally modest, often ranging from face value to a few dollars depending on severity of wear, rarity of minor errors, and collector interest, yet their historical significance remains high, as they represent a transitional period in Kennedy $50 production, the post-silver era of U.S. coinage, and the continued cultural importance of President Kennedy's legacy, with the coin serving as a tangible link to American history, numismatic evolution, and public memory, while also providing beginners and experienced collectors alike with valuable opportunities for study, comparison, and appreciation of design, metallurgy, wear patterns, grading practices, and circulation effects. Additionally, the heavily worn 1971 Philadelphia Kennedy $50 illustrates how coins interact with humans and the environment over decades, with details like flattened hairlines, worn eagle feathers, smoothed shields, faint lettering, edge dents, scratches, and discoloration serving as a living record of usage, circulation intensity, storage conditions, chemical exposure, and even geographic patterns, making each coin unique despite mass production, while also demonstrating principles of metal fatigue, durability, and resistance to corrosion in copper-nickel clad coinage. Beyond its physical characteristics, the 1971 Kennedy half-dollar without a mint mark offers a window into mid-20th century American society, including coinage demand, economic policy, population growth, transaction frequency, cultural sentiment, and the enduring popularity of President Kennedy, whose visage continues to inspire collectors, historians, and enthusiasts, while also providing practical lessons in numismatic authentication, grading nuances, error detection, market analysis, and collection management, and even low-grade examples contribute to typesets, educational collections, and historical study by illustrating the effects of circulation, environmental exposure, and long-term handling on coinage, and by offering insight into minting practices, production volume, die wear, and material durability, making them invaluable resources for collectors seeking both knowledge and connection to American history. In sum, the 1971 John F. Kennedy half-dollar without a mint mark in bad condition is far more than a worn piece of metal. It is a living artifact of American coinage history, a document of circulation and human interaction, a case study in minting, metallurgy, wear, and grading, a representation of Kennedy's legacy, a reflection of mid-1970s economic and social life, a tool for numismatic education, and a tangible link between past and present, with every scratch, flattened detail, discoloration, rim dent, and worn inscription narrating decades of commerce, handling, and environmental exposure, providing endless fascination and study opportunities for collectors, educators, historians, and enthusiasts, making it a coin of profound historical, educational, and cultural value despite its heavily worn state, and ensuring its continued relevance and significance in both numismatic and historical contexts for generations to come. Next up, the 1973 D. John F. Kennedy half-dollar, struck at the Denver Mint and identifiable by its small D. mint mark located just below the truncation of Kennedy's neck on the obverse, is a historically significant coin within the Kennedy half-dollar series, which was originally introduced in 1964 following the assassination of the 35th President of the United States, John F. Kennedy, and this particular 1973 D issue, produced during the post-1971 fully clad copper-nickel period, represents a mass circulation coin that was intended primarily for everyday transactional use, eliminating silver content entirely in contrast to the original 1964 silver coins and the transitional 1965-1970, 40% silver issues, and while coins in high grades are often prized for their aesthetic appeal and collectability, bad condition examples, which exhibit heavy wear, flattened details, surface scratches, discoloration, rim nicks, abrasions, and environmental toning, are themselves incredibly informative and valuable from a numismatic and historical perspective because they illustrate the effects of decades of circulation, physical handling, exposure to environmental factors such as moisture, heat, air pollutants, dirt, and chemical reactions, and human interaction, as each scratch, flattened hairline, worn inscription, or smoothed eagle feather tells a unique story about the coin's life and journey through wallets, coin rolls, cash registers, banks, vending machines, and countless transactions over more than 5 decades. The obverse, designed by Gilroy Roberts, features the iconic left-facing portrait of President Kennedy, capturing his youthful features, sculpted hair, prominent cheekbones, and defined jawline, while inscriptions, Liberty, appear above the head, In God We Trust, on the sides, and the date, 1973, below the neck, with the Denver Mint mark, D, clearly visible on higher-grade examples but often faint or partially worn away in heavily circulated specimens, making authentication more challenging and requiring a trained eye to distinguish genuine wear from damage or counterfeit features. And in bad condition coins, all fine details of the hair, facial contours, and lettering are heavily eroded, illustrating the cumulative impact of circulation over decades. The reverse, designed by Frank Gasparo, depicts the presidential seal, featuring a heraldic eagle clutching arrows in its left talon and an olive branch in its right, a shield overlaying the eagle's chest, surrounded by 50 stars symbolizing the states, with inscriptions reading, United States of America, and $50. Along the rim, yet in badly worn examples, the eagle's feathers merge into the background, the arrows and olive branch are smoothed, shield details are flattened, the stars are faint or partially missing, and edge reading is often worn down, dented, or nicked, providing a physical record of circulation intensity, environmental exposure, and handling, while also demonstrating the durability of the copper-nickel-clad composition, which has allowed these coins to survive over 50 years despite harsh conditions, serving as a tangible lesson in metallurgical resilience and minting standards. In terms of grading, coins in bad condition typically fall into good G4 to very good VG8, where portrait and lettering details are heavily flattened, eagle features on the reverse are worn, edges show nicks and abrasions, surfaces display scratches, discoloration, and toning, and sometimes environmental corrosion is visible, providing a rich resource for studying the impact of circulation, wear, and handling on coin longevity, and illustrating the difference between heavily circulated coins and those that remain in higher grades. Despite their aesthetic limitations, these coins are historically and educationally valuable, allowing collectors to understand grading scales, circulation dynamics, wear patterns, and minting characteristics, while also providing opportunities to study minor minting errors such as weak strikes, die cracks, planchet imperfections, doubled elements, and off-center strikes, which occasionally occur even in mass production coins and can add subtle value to otherwise low-grade examples, highlighting the practical importance of bad condition coins for numismatic research, error analysis, and historical study. The market value of a 1973 D. Kennedy $50 in bad condition is generally modest, typically near face value or a few dollars above, but its significance lies in its educational and historical utility, providing a window into mid-20th century U.S. coinage, circulation practices, production standards, and the enduring popularity of President Kennedy's image and legacy, while also illustrating the economic, cultural, and technological context of the early 1970s, a time of post-Vietnam War adjustment, inflationary concerns, and changes in coin production techniques. Heavily circulated coins such as this also demonstrate the physical impact of repeated human handling and environmental exposure, showing flattened design features, smoothed edges, worn inscriptions, scratches, discoloration, and surface abrasions, each serving as a narrative of decades of commerce, circulation, and human interaction, while also allowing collectors, historians, and educators to analyze wear progression, strike consistency, planchet quality, metallurgical behavior, and circulation trends, making them invaluable for both study and type collection purposes. Furthermore, even in poor condition, these coins provide insights into mint production standards at the Denver Mint in 1973, including die alignment, strike depth, planchet thickness, edge reading, and quality control practices, while also serving as a baseline for comparing with Philadelphia or San Francisco issues, understanding batch variations, and observing how mass-produced coins respond to decades of use. They illustrate the transition from coins that once contained silver to fully clad copper-nickel compositions, and provide context for the study of wear rates, circulation patterns, minor errors, and historical documentation, making them educational tools for both novice and expert collectors, while also embodying a tangible connection to the era's social, economic, and political environment. The popularity of Kennedy as a figure in U.S. history, and the evolution of American coinage practices. In short, the 1973 D. Kennedy $50 in bad condition is far more than a worn metal disc. It is a living historical artifact, a witness to decades of American commerce, a lesson in metallurgy and coin production, a study in circulation and wear, a subject for grading education, an example of minting errors and production characteristics, a physical representation of Kennedy's enduring legacy, and a coin that continues to fascinate, educate, and connect collectors, historians, and enthusiasts to the culture, economy, and history of the United States, with every flattened detail, scratch, nick, and surface imperfection narrating the journey of a small piece of currency through half a century of human interaction, environmental effects, and historical context, making it an endlessly valuable and captivating object of study, collection, and historical reflection. Next up, the 1972 D. John F. Kennedy half-dollar, struck at the Denver Mint and identifiable by the small D. Mint mark located just below Kennedy's neck on the obverse, is a significant coin in the Kennedy half-dollar series, which began in 1964 to commemorate the life and legacy of the 35th President of the United States, John F. Kennedy, following his assassination, and this 1972 D issue belongs to the post-1971 fully clad copper-nickel period, marking a continuation of the series after the cessation of silver content in 1971, reflecting both the economic and practical considerations of the U.S. Mint, as the production was focused on circulation rather than collector-grade silver issues, resulting in coins produced in very large numbers that circulated widely across the country. While pristine examples of the 1972 D. Kennedy half-dollar may be highly valued by collectors for their sharp details and eye appeal, bad-condition coins, which are heavily worn, scratched, flattened, discolored, or marred by environmental exposure, provide a fascinating lens into the effects of decades of circulation and the endurance of mid-20th century coinage under constant handling, illustrating the interaction between metallurgical composition, human use, and environmental factors, as these coins were passed through countless wallets, pockets, cash registers, banks, and vending machines, each contact leaving an imprint, each abrasion recording a fragment of economic and social history. The obverse, designed by Gilroy Roberts, features the classic left-facing portrait of President Kennedy, with finely detailed hair, defined cheekbones, and a strong jawline, inscriptions reading, "Liberty," above the head, "In God We Trust," on either side, and the date, 1972, below, accompanied by the small Denver Mint mark, D, which in heavily circulated examples is often faint, partially worn, or barely discernible due to decades of use, while the details of Kennedy's hair, facial features, and lettering are frequently flattened or eroded in bad condition coins, providing an instructive example of wear progression over time. The reverse, designed by Frank Gasparo, depicts the presidential seal with an eagle clutching arrows in its left talon and an olive branch in its right, a shield over the eagle's breast, a circle of 50 stars symbolizing the states, and inscriptions reading, "United States of America," and "half-dollar." Yet in worn examples, the eagle's feathers merge into the background, the arrows and olive branch lose definition, shield details flatten, stars fade, and edge reading shows significant wear, dents, or nicks, all of which illustrate the cumulative effects of circulation, environmental exposure, and handling over more than 5 decades. In terms of grading, these bad condition coins often fall into good G4 to very good VG8 categories, exhibiting severely flattened portrait and reverse features, faint inscriptions, scratches, discoloration, rim damage, surface abrasions, and sometimes chemical toning or corrosion, providing a tangible example for collectors and educators to understand grading scales, the relationship between condition and value, and the physical consequences of extended circulation on copper-nickel clad coinage. Despite their aesthetic limitations, such coins are historically and educationally valuable, offering insight into the minting processes at the Denver Mint in 1972, including die alignment, strike depth, planchet thickness, edge reading uniformity, and production volume, as well as offering opportunities to study minor minting errors such as weak strikes, die cracks, planchet imperfections, off-center strikes, or doubled elements, which occasionally appear even in mass production coins, making even bad condition examples Interesting to numismatists, the market value of a heavily worn 1972 D Kennedy half-dollar is generally modest, typically close to face value or slightly higher, though specific examples with unusual wear patterns or minor minting errors may attract collector attention, but their real significance lies in their educational, historical, and numismatic utility, providing a physical record of mid-20th century U.S. coinage, circulation patterns, and the enduring cultural popularity of President Kennedy. These coins also illustrate the effects of decades of human and environmental interaction, including flattened design elements, surface scratches from contact with other coins, rim dents from handling or storage, discoloration and toning due to exposure to moisture, heat, or pollutants, and minor corrosion in some cases, each factor contributing to the unique story of the coin's circulation, offering collectors, historians, and educators a tangible link to the past and a lesson in the practical realities of mass-produced coinage over decades. Beyond physical characteristics, the 1972 D Kennedy half-dollar in bad condition provides insight into mid-20th century American society, including circulation demand, economic policy, transactional frequency, population growth, and public interaction with coinage, as well as illustrating the enduring popularity of Kennedy's image and legacy in American culture, while also serving as a teaching tool for understanding wear, grading, authentication, and comparison across years, mint locations, and production batches. In summary, the 1972 D. John F. Kennedy half-dollar in bad condition is much more than a worn piece of metal. It is a living historical document, a testament to decades of circulation, human interaction, and environmental exposure, a study in metallurgical resilience, wear, minting practices, grading, and error analysis, and a tangible connection to the cultural, economic, and historical context of the United States during the 1970s, with every flattened detail, worn inscription, scratch, and discoloration narrating a story of commerce, usage, and legacy, making it a coin of enduring educational, historical, and numismatic value, captivating both collectors and historians alike, while preserving the memory of President Kennedy and illustrating the life of U.S. coinage in the real world over more than 50 years. Please like and subscribe to my channel.